So usually in my course curriculum, I'll be starting with data warehouse concepts. So as per the data warehouse concepts parts, just I'll give the basic introduction part for the data warehouse, but maybe you're already familiar. Just we'll try to recap that. Okay.
Okay.
Data warehouse. So what is a data warehouse? Data warehouse is a storage area data warehouse is a storage area. So what type of storage area we can call as a data warehouse means something called as a database, maybe like RDBMS system, or it can be a flat file, or it can be an XML, or it can be a legacy system. Any one of these storages can be called as a data warehouse. So data warehouse is a storage area. Now what are the other specifications? Within the storage area, how much information will be stored? Like use it to hold large volume of data. Large volume of data called as historical and current data. So data warehouse is storage area used to hold a large volume of data, that is like historical and the current data. With this data, what you will do? Use it to perform multi-dimensional analysis. Used to perform multi-dimensional analysis. What does it mean? Means it is like comparative and historical analysis. Used to perform multi-dimensional analysis like comparative and historical. After performing analysis, which way it will be helpful? For what purpose we need to perform analysis? Something like use it to make a better decision. So what is a data warehouse means? It is a storage area used to perform analysis for making a better decisions. So 4 specifications here we are giving, like data warehouse is storage area used to hold large volume of data, used to perform multi-dimensional analysis, and used to make a better decision. So why you want to make a better decision? To make the business to be more profitable. Already one person is doing a business about, for example, with a huge amount. You want to plan for the next year. So that depends on the existing business status. So if the existing business is success, then he can think about starting a new venture. If it is a failure, he has to work on existing business. So whether he has to start a new venture or he has to work on existing business, that will be depending on the status of the current business. Status of the current business means success or a failure. That success or a failure will be knowing only if you study the existing information. So to have a better understanding process for this, why you want to go with the decision making, if I take a simple example. For example, there is a bank. And this bank is consisting approximately 3,000 account holders. For example, 50,000 account holders are there. And for example, this bank is located in a region called as Y. This bank is located in a region called as Y. For example, I'm considering that this bank doesn't have any branches, only one office is there, and this bank is not providing any online services. Every customer has to come physically to the bank to do their activities. Now, if all these 50,000 customers came to this bank and on the same instance, is it easy to provide services for them?
No.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It takes very long time. Every customer has to wait for the long time until his turn comes. So whenever you are asking to wait for the long time, usually arguments will start. That is the reason one of the employees frustrated because of the arguments went to the management and he suggested to the management, please start a new branch. So here we are unable to provide a better services to the customers, so please start a new branch. Management appreciated the particular employee for giving that advice. Management told it is a very good idea, definitely will start the branch, but they raised a question by saying, where do you want to start the branch? We are ready to start the branch, but you tell me where to start the branch. Okay, like for example, you consider that you are working in 3 cities, maybe Chicago, New Jersey, and California, something like that. For example, your office is like your bank is located in Chicago, for example. Where do you want to start the branch? Like in one particular region bank is there and they want to start a new branch by keeping this office as it is. So where do you suggest?
Where we can expect good profit.
Where we can expect good profit. Okay. Good. But we want to have a clarity, that is exact position or the location name, so that we can start the branch. See, what you told is correct, but for that we need some other information. It is not sufficient to tell immediately, isn't it? So you are saying where you hang a good profit. That means we need to study some other information to understand about that. Directly it is not possible, which is the best place.
Correct. We need to about the demographic metrics.
Yes. So here, for time being, we'll try to take a few scenarios for identifying that. So for any questionnaire, you have so many answers maybe there. Main thing is you have to pick up the appropriate one. So I will try to show some sort of options here, and from that we'll try to pick up which is the best one. So for example, if you say I want to start a branch nearby this region, it may work, it may not work, there is no guarantee. So if you need a clarity to identify where to start the branch means, study to where these 50,000 account holders are belonging. In that region, start the branch. This is one of the a better solution. I'm not saying this is the only solution. I'm asking to find out to which region these 50,000 customers are belonging. Maybe start the branch in that area. So the employee has read this 50,000 customers addresses, 50,000 customer addresses, and he told that these customers are belong to 3 different regions, X, Y, Z, Z, 3 different regions. From X region, he's mentioned that approximately 10,000 customers are there. From Y region, 25,000 customers are there, and from Z region, approximately 15,000 customers are there. Like maybe one employee suggested that find out to which region the more number of customers are there, or where you have good number of customers, we will start the branch in that area. So immediately, employer read the 50,000 account holders addresses and came to know that these customers are belong to 3 different regions like X, Y, Z, and X location 10,000, Y location 25,000, and Z location 15,000 customers are there. Now based on this, where do you suggest to start the branch? Where do you suggest to start the, which one?
Location Y, region Y.
Y is already, office is there, no? Bank is already there. We are not
Okay.
we are not disturbing that. Already bank is located in the Y region, so we need to talk about X and Z only. Instead of talking like in between exact positions like X or Z, which is more advisable. So where do you suggest?
Yeah, obviously close to Z.
Z, okay. So why you are specifying Z is the best place?
More number of people live in that region.
More number of customers present
More
in that
number
area.
of.
Yeah. So how do you came to know that? By comparing X and Z values, isn't it?
Correct.
This is called as comparative analysis. You have performed comparative analysis. Based on that, you came to know that G is having more number of customers. So you're asking to start the branch in that particular location. So more number of customers. So here what you're comparing means basically you're comparing count of customers. So based on the count of customers, you're asking to start the branch in G location. But to start the branch in that location, whether it may be X or Z, first of all we need a building. In that building we need some infrastructure. Next we need some resources to work there. That means we need to spend some investment to start the branch, isn't it? We
Yes.
need to spend some sort of amount to start the branch. Like for example, management is thinking about the investment part. First of all, they need a building. So for example, they're trying to take one existing building for 10 years as a lease. So the building owner, for example, they're asking something like for example, $800,000 they're asking as a deposit, for example. And maybe they're asking to pay the rent is about, for example, $5,000 as a rent. So building is ready, we can say. Next, we need the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is about, it's taking something like $400,000, for example. It is an infrastructure. Next, we need resources. So when you recruit any resources, we need to pay the salaries. So for example, I'm expecting that salaries is like something like this, including utilities. So I'll consider as an expenditure per month. Rent is also per month, for example. That means by the end of the first month, they need to spend approximately a big amount of value. Some sort of value. Now, if they continue the business in the same region, in the second month, again, they have to pay something called as and one more value will come, something called as, this is the value, isn't it? Some sort of value depending on that content. Now after the second month, they came to know that the business is not happening. They thought that business is not happening, and if they try to close that particular branch, does they get this amount back? Is it possible to get back this amount if they close the branch after the second month?
No, it's not possible, I guess, because its lease period is 10 years.
Yeah. And within 2 months, they thought that the business is not happening, and they spend it by this time like 13 millions approximately. And after second month, they thought that it is not running properly, so we want to close it. So can you get back this 13 millions again?
Nothing. No, we won't get anything.
No, it is not possible, because it's like if you take something like rent and expenditure, this is straight away loss. But there is a possibility of getting a deposit in the infrastructure, but you may not expect the complete amount. So that means that amount is lost, we can consider. So now any business will be ready to lose this much amount?
No.
No, definitely no. So that means it is a risk factor. So the reason management is saying that definitely I can start the branch. So whatever the investment is required, definitely I can place that investment, not a problem. But if you give me an assurance that business will be successful, definitely I'll start. But is it possible to give them assurance that business will be successful? It is not possible. It is very difficult. So in such case, management says, then it is a risk for me. With this information, I cannot decide that G is the best place. Maybe you are saying G is the best place, but this information is not sufficient for me to decide G is the best place. Just without performing any other thing, directly with this information itself, I start a branch in the G location, and if anything happens wrong, and if I close the branch, then my entire business will collapse. Why is saying that? That means he is spending approximately 30 million to start the branch, and he, for example, after 2 months, they thought that it is not running and they closed it. That means the 13 million amount is lost. But how they kept this investment? Is it from their pocket? Definitely no. Only for the first business, the business people will take the amount from their pocket. From second business onward, they will try to take the generated amounts. In the current business, what is the profit you got? That profit they will try to keep as an, or maybe what is an amount generated in first business that will be kept as an investment into the second business. Okay. Like for example, this Y location customers are in the bank which is located in Y. All the customers has deposited approximately $50 million amount. Under the 30 million they spent it to start a branch in G location, and they lost it. Later, all the customers of this bank came to the local bank and they are asking, give my money back. Bank will not be in position to return it because they already used it as an investment to the other bank, isn't it?
Correct.
So it is a risk, heavy risk. The entire bank will collapse. To avoid that, management is saying that this information is not sufficient for me to decide this is the best way. Then what to do? The management itself told that you are talking based on the count of customers, you tell based on revenue wise. Instead of comparing based on the count of customers, you tell me based on the revenue. So immediately the employer read this customer's information again and he told that in 2012, X location customers have generated some amount, something like this. I'm considering as in 5 million. And while we are not disturbing anything, this branch will be there as it is, so I'm not giving the value belonging to it. And when it comes to the G location, location has generated something like this. 4,999,900 dollars. Okay, approximately it is in 5 millions at X location as well as at the G location also. Approximately it is 5 millions approximately. Now based on this, where do you suggest to start the branch? Initially we talked as per the count of customers, but management is saying it is a risk for me. I cannot decide based on the count of customers. You talk as per the revenue. Employer read the revenue part and he told that X location has generated approximately 5 million. Even G location is also generated approximately some 5 millions, but I mentioned as 4 million some value. So based on this, where do you suggest?
Yeah, in between these two locations, probably.
In between 2 means?
Between X and Z.
Like for example, my geographical location is in this way. It is X. Somewhere X. Somewhere Y. Somewhere Z. This is the geographical location, for example. Then where do you suggest? In between means again we'll get Y only, but Y already branch is there, isn't it?
Out there, so definitely we will prefer X.
We'll go with X. What could be the reason?
Profit. Profit is more important.
Okay. So you are saying that it is advisable to go with X location. Fine. So what could be the reason? Means here you have performed something called as a comparator analysis between revenues of X and G, and you came to know that X location is having higher value, and that's the reason you are saying that X is the best. But how much difference is there between these two? Only $100.
Only $100.
So when you talk about the millions of amount, and within that you are saying $100 of difference is there, is it considerable value?
Not comparative value though.
So it is not considerable. So if you say that, that means indirectly this entire comparison is becoming negligible because almost the same. If you say that this comparison is negligible, definitely we'll stick on to the previous decision what we make, like G is the best place, isn't it? Because in the previous comparison, G is the best place we have decided based on the count of customers. But when it comes to the current comparison, it is a negligible comparison because only 100 dollars difference is there when you talk about millions of amount, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I'll say that instead of X, I'll be going only with Z location because this current comparison is negligible. How you are specifying this means initially I performed based on count of customers. Based on the count of customers we have decided, and now I'm going with something called as a revenue-based comparison, but revenue-based comparison is negligible. Okay. So when you say it is a negligible, you are still sticking on to the Z or G location. But now I'll try to take one more point that management is saying that I will look the same data in different way. I will look the same data in different way. What is that means? Management is saying that 10,000 people has generated 10,000 people has generated 5 millions in X location. When it comes to G location, 15,000 people generated approximately 5 millions. Which one is the best place? Here I am comparing two fields at a time, count of customers as well as revenue. In X location, 10,000 people generated 5 millions. In G location, 15,000 people generated 5 millions. Which one is the best place? Here if you compare two fields at a time, what is the answer now? Just 1 minute.
Still we can go with Z.
So any answer based on this comparison?
Yeah, still we can go with Z.
No. If you take two values, then you have to go with X location. Y means less number of people, more revenue. 10,000 people, 5 millions. Whereas in G, more number of people, less revenue. So where, like first answer you told me that where is the good profits are there, we will be starting the branch there, isn't it?
Correct.
So if you take that particular point now, X location, less number of people, more revenue. Whereas G, more number of customers, less revenue. Isn't it?
Correct.
So that is if you compare two things at a time, then X location is the best place, not as in G. X is the best place. When you know that you should compare two fields at a time. If you take one field at a time, still G is the best place. But at a time, if you compare two fields, then X location is the best place. Now management is saying that previously we told that G is the best place, now we are saying X is the best place. If the answer is changing like that, then how can I take a decision? So this information is not sufficient for me to decide this is the best place. You show me the consistency in the business. So management asked me to show the consistency. So to show the consistency, I'm trying to take one more point here. here I mentioned as 2009 as 4 million at X location and D location is 1 million. Now you are comparing the values between revenues of same region between the 2 years, like 2012 revenue and 2011 revenue of X location. Same way, 2012 revenue and 2011 revenue between here talk about the more consistency of the business. We are comparing this way. Here we are involved with something called historical analysis because we are comparing revenue between the 2 years of same region. That is an historical analysis. So here we write historical as well as comparative. Now if you consider time period and the revenue at a time, you talk about more consistency and you have shown this type of thing. Based on this, where do you suggest? Like management asked about the show me the consistency in the business. So immediately employer read the 2011 data and you should mention in this way that X is 4 million and the G location is 1 million. Based on this, where do you suggest?
Yeah, X has, if we look, X region in 2011 we made 4 million and in 2012 5 million. So overall it's million up to 2011. Whereas in Z location we made only 6 million. So X is the best one in terms of revenue.
And about 6 million. In 2012 it is 5 million. In 2011 1 million. That means you are talking about totally 2 years. You are talking about total amount. Okay.
Yes, total amount.
Okay. Okay, fine. Here if you perform comparative analysis based on the revenue wise, Excel is the best place because it's 4 million and Z is in 1 million. If you go with the two parameters at a time, count of customers and revenue, 10,000 customers have generated 4 million and in G location 15,000 people have generated only 1 million. So after two fields at a time also, X is the best place. And if you take about time period and the revenue, in 2012 5 million, in 2011 4 million, that means the difference is less. Means we can say that consistency is there. The business is maintained in the same way, isn't it? Yeah. When it comes to G location, in 2012 5 million, in 2011 1 million. That means there is some ups and downs in the G location, isn't it? It is not maintaining the consistency. It is increasing, maybe decreasing, isn't it? Yeah. So based on this one, you can say that X is the best place. But management is saying that I will compare this data in another way. What does that means?
Yeah, they will look for like in 1 year, we bump up it to 5 million from 1 million in relocation.
Yes. So what is the growth? How much business is improved? If you consider
3 million and close to 3 million.
Here it is 1 million growth.
1 million growth in X and close to 4 million in the region.
Yes. So maintaining the same business is better or improving the business is better?
Yeah, of course, improving the business is better than.
So improving the business is better. That means how you are looking, based on that, your answer is changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here, maybe you are considering count of customers, time period, revenue, and growth rate, 4 fields at a time. If you take these 4 fields at a time, then maybe you may say that G is the best place because it's having tremendous growth in the business. But usually in the businesses, it should be like the profits or the improvement should be there in the form of step by step. But this business, this growth is showing almost like a vertical growth, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in businesses, vertical growth will not be considered. It will not be believed. So once a vertical growth is there, maybe 10 million, 20 million, suddenly on the maybe next month or next year, drastically it will fall again in any business. So the business people or business management will not consider the vertical growth. That means if you say like that, that means again you have to switch it back to X location, isn't it?
Yeah.
So management is saying that still it is not giving me any clarity. So with 1 year content, I cannot decide whether design consistency or not. You talked about 4 to 5 years. Maybe at what happened in 2010, I mean 2009, 2008, something like that. Maybe 6 to 7 years you compare the data and you tell me based on that, you will decide which is the best place. So with one type of output, we cannot decide which is the best place. We need to study the data in the various ways. First time we are talking about only count of customers, only one field we are comparing, so I can consider that as we are working with something called as one-dimensional analysis or single-dimensional analysis. Only one type of field we are comparing. So I can say it is a single-dimensional analysis. But when it comes to the second one called as a revenue and customer comparison, I can call this as a two-dimensional analysis or double-dimensional analysis. When it comes to the last point, what I mentioned, we are comparing time period, growth, revenue, count of customers. 4 fields are comparing. So I can say it's 4-dimensional. Instead of saying 4-dimensional, I'll give that particular statement as multi-dimensional analysis. So what is multi-dimensional analysis means? Looking the same data in multiple perspectives. So that's what I mentioned in my first statements here, multi-dimensional analysis. Okay? So what is multi-dimensional analysis means? Looking the same data in multiple perspectives. How you are observing the data based on the answer will be changing. So perform multi-dimensional analysis. Complete study you need to perform in the various ways, understand the data. Once if you understand it and if you, based on that we'll come to a conclusion which is good, which is bad. Once if you came to a conclusion, based on that we can make a decision. Yeah? So by seeing this, can you say that decision making, is it easy?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, when we do multi-dimensional analysis, definitely decision making can be done.
Yeah, it becomes easy. But is it easy to perform multi-dimensional analysis? That
Yes.
means within 1 day, can you give me this output, like which is good, which is bad, by studying these things? Maybe if you are more experienced in such type of things, then it is possible. Otherwise, may not be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we are talking about only 3 to 4 points like revenue, count of customers, something like that. This speaking, here we are having one more point. We are talking about starting a new brand to give a better service to the customer. Fine, but that means 50,000 customers which are present in the Y location. From part of the customers, you are breaking them into another region, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you start the branch in G location. So approximately 35,000 customers will be there in Y location and G location 15,000 customers, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are splitting them to 2 different parts. That means you are sharing the business. What is the business is happening in Y location? You are trying to get the same business only, even if you start one more branch also, isn't it? It will not increase anything. What expenditure is increasing? You are having an expenditure at Y location as well as at G location, isn't it? Are you able to follow?
Yeah.
So your business is shared. If your business is shared, then how it will improve? Not possible. So not only looking for existing customers, you need to think about new customers also. If you start with the same customers, no use. Try to think about new customers also. So if you want to get the new customer, then you need to think about other points also. How the transportation is there, what is the density of public in that region, what is the cost of living in that region. There's so many points. Along with this count of customers, revenue, time period, growth rate, these things, we need to consider various other points also to decide which is the best place. Now, if you take even other points, means approximately maybe it becomes as a maybe 8-dimensional, 9-dimensional, you need to perform in such a way. If you are performing a single dimensional, 2-dimensional, it is very easy to understand and to decide which is the best place. But if you are having nearly 8 fields, 9 fields are there, where you want to compare in different ways, it becomes very, very complex, isn't it? So decision becomes very, very difficult if you consider more number of input options, which becomes very, very difficult. If it doesn't take a proper decision, that entire organization will collapse, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you want to have a decision means, if you want to make a decision means, for that we need to have something called as a conclusion first of all. If you want to have a better conclusion means, we need to perform something called as an analysis. If you want to perform analysis means, we need to have something called as reports or maybe charts or graphs. What is there in the reports and charts? Nothing but data. So you're having something called as data. To have a data, what we need? We need something called as storage area. We need something called storage area. So data warehouse is a storage area used to perform analysis for making a better decision. So decision making is coming from conclusion, and analysis is coming from, or conclusion is coming from analysis. Analysis is coming from a reporting process, and this reporting is basically coming from data, and this data is coming from storage area. Okay? Yeah. Now, in this, data warehouse means what now? Is it gives any decision? Data warehouse, does it gives any decision? Like what I told previously is a general definition. Data warehouse is a storage analysis for making better decision. That is a general definition or layman definition. But if you take each field and you compare with the data warehouse, does it give any decision? Means no. Data warehouse will not give any decision. Or does it give any conclusion which is good, which is bad? No. Data warehouse, does it perform analysis? No. These three things has to be done by human being. A person has to perform analysis, and he will be deciding which is good, which is bad. Based on, he will be taking a decision. Data warehouse will not do anything for analysis or conclusion or the decision making. Then data warehouse, does it give any report? Data warehouse, does it give any report? No. Data warehouse will not give any report, but data warehouse is required for reporting. Data warehouse is required for reporting purpose, but it will not give any report. It will help to perform better reporting. Okay. Data warehouse, does it maintain any data? No. Data warehouse will not store any data. Data warehouse tells how to store the data. Data warehouse tells how to store the data. It will not store anything. It just maintains, or it gives rules and regulations for managing of data. So data warehouse is required for managing the data in the proper manner, but it will not store anything. Clear? So data warehouse is required to manage the data. For what purpose? For making the reporting to be more easier. So if data warehouse is not storing any data, that means it is not a storage area. Okay?
Yes.
General definition will say that it is storage area, but technical definition, if you take it up, it is not a storage area. Then what it is? Data warehouse is a concept which talks about 4 principles. Data warehouse is a concept. Data warehouse is a concept. So data warehouse is a concept which talks about 4 principles. Data warehouse is a concept which talks about 4 principles. So what are those 4 principles means? Something called as subject oriented, integrated, non-volatile, time variant. These are the 4 principles you're having. It is a concept. So if and if you observe these 4 specifications, they are related to storage. They are telling how to store the data. So if any storage area follows these 4 specifications, that can be called as a data warehouse. So data warehouse is basically a concept which talks about 4 principles. So if any storage area follows these 4 specifications, then it can be called as a data warehouse. When it follows above specification, then it will be called as data warehouse. That means data warehouse is a theory, it is a concept, or it is talk about rules and regulations for managing of data. Okay. So data warehouse is simply a rules and regulations which talks how to manage the data. Data warehouse tells how to manage the data. For what purpose? For making reporting to be more easier. So data warehouse is required for making the reporting to be more easier. Okay, for reporting to be more easier. So data warehouse is a concept which talks about 4 principles. If any storage follows these 4 specifications, that can be called as a data warehouse. It is required to make the reporting to be more faster. Like when you compare with other things like OOPS, object-oriented programming system. So that is a concept. If any language satisfies those OOPS principles like inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, we will call that as an object-oriented programming language. Same way, if any storage follows this 4 specification, that will be called as a data warehouse. Clear?
Yeah.
So what is this 4 specification and all those things we will be discussing in the next session. For today, I will be closing here. Okay?
Okay.
but I don't know whether how much these concepts are required for you. Okay, if it is required, we'll go with the concepts. Otherwise, we can go with the tool directly. Okay, but that specification you basically pass it to the management part. Okay. I think already you are having the contents with you. What are the topics we'll be discussing?